got to get my mic right.
What's up, bonehead?
Trying to get this thing in mic right, son.
If y'all hear this in the episode, in the beginning of the episode, you know Blake's on.
You got to have my mic right. I say so much. If my mic ain't adjusted right, someone liable to miss out on what I say.
We interviewed a guy yesterday. Awesome interview. But I bet Blake hit his mic about 5 times during the course of that interview. Well, I'm the only one with headphones. We just ordered more headphones. Because when you don't have the headphones on, you don't realize how loud it is. But when you put the headphones on, it blasts you out.
I got that old raggedy mic stand over there,
hey,
son.
Y'all forgive Blake. He's new to the podcasting world. So he's here with us today. Guys, welcome back to the 3 of 7 podcast. You know, we're trying now to put some consistency behind how we release episodes for you guys. We're shooting for Mondays and Wednesdays. All right? That's what we're shooting for. You know, it's good for us. It's good for you guys. I think it's good all the way around. So Thanks for joining us for today's episode. We're going to try or attempt to tackle the topic of vulnerability. Well, I hope nobody gets offended about this topic. We're going to try to ease into it. We're going to try to approach it with logic and experience. And yeah, it's a touchy topic for a lot of people because I think nowadays, and first of all, vulnerability definitely has its place, all right? But I think in a soft society, it's been elevated to a really virtuous thing, right? Where it's not really, it's in my mind, I don't know if you can call it a virtue more or less than other than a tool, right? It has its purpose in everybody's life. This isn't just for men, right? I mean, obviously, I think men might have a little more difficulty being vulnerable in certain situations when they need to be than females do, but not necessarily. I know some tough freaking females, man. All right, so this is for everybody. So we're going to try to approach this topic in a nice, warm and fuzzy way for you. Hope you enjoy it.
You're making yourself pretty vulnerable here approaching this topic.
Well, yeah. Well, every time we get on this thing, we do that, you know? All right, look. And, speaking of that, you know, we do the Origins episodes with Brooke, which we'll record another one of those for you guys here coming soon. Yeah, we do. We get a little vulnerable. We tell you guys literally almost every detail of our life's journey. I think we've made it up to the point that through Buds, and the next one will start off with SQT when Brooke comes back in. But there's a purpose behind it, right? There's a purpose behind it. We're not going to try not to tell you stories unless there's some sort of humor behind it. There's some sort of principle. There's some sort of lesson. There's a purpose behind it. So that's the reason that we do that, and we can feel confident in doing that. I want to tell you guys real quick about Wazoo survival gear, though. This episode is brought to you by Wazoo. They're some good friends of ours. Wazoo survival gear, Dustin and Nick. They're awesome. They make wearable survival gear. Things like the bushcraft necklace, things like the cash cap, the cash belt, and a whole array of other things. They've got an awesome a foraging bandana that'll help you identify edible plants. They've got one that'll help you identify tracks. They've got some cool sharpening stones. They've got all kinds of different kits to enhance your capabilities, not just out in the wilderness, but this is everyday stuff, right? Mm-hmm. This is everyday stuff that you guys can utilize to expand your capabilities. We love Wazoo. We've been using their products for a long time now. I guess going on 2 years. We have put them through the ringer, man. One of the products that I love is they have a little ceramic knife. It's a little ceramic razor blade, foldable, and you can also use it to strike your ferro rod with. It's just a really cool little piece of gear that I've used in all different ways out in the backcountry and just everyday use. You know, when you think you need a little bitty, really sharp knife to do some little cut or cut a zip tie or whatever it is, it's pretty handy. So check them out if you're into expanding your capabilities. It's at wazoosurvivalgear.com. I'll attach a special link in the show notes of this episode that you guys can go to if you order using that link and our pro code for 3 to 7 podcast listeners. That'll be in the show notes too. You'll get 20% off of your order from Wazoo Survival Gear. Support the companies that support this show, please. And they do everything they can to source their materials here in the USA too. So that means a lot.
Yep.
So thanks for sponsoring the show, Wazoo. All right, let's talk about this. And first of all, why are we talking about this? One, because it's a tool. One, because it comes up a lot. I think in the topic of vulnerability comes up a lot in everything that we do, probably in a lot of places that you guys are at and a lot of things that you guys do, maybe in the workplace, dealing with employees, maybe in your home or dealing with family members, maybe dealing with team members in the fitness world or whatever it is. It's a pretty big topic, and that's what we're going to discuss it. And, you know, I look back on my life and I think, when were times that I had to be vulnerable? With my teammates. All right, in the SEAL teams, I'll take, for instance, when were times that I needed to be a little vulnerable? Well, it sure as heck wasn't when we were out on a mission. It sure as heck wasn't when we were in some, high stress training environment where we were actually having to get work done. That wasn't the place for it, right? That wasn't when you looked over at your buddy and told him your deepest, darkest problems that you were having. That wasn't the time to discuss that stuff, right? If I think, for me, going back to a specific example, I think one of the biggest things that stands out in my mind was when I had come home from deployment. I found that Brooke was struggling with her drug addiction, and I realized that this was going to be a bigger problem than I thought it was going to be. She had decided that she wanted to get clean, and she had to go to an inpatient rehab facility. She had to get some treatment, so in a real way, at full time. Like, this wasn't something that she just went and did for a couple hours a day and came home. And I realized, man, there's no way that I can take care of my family and also do what I need to do, with my job in the military. So I had to be vulnerable in that moment, because this for me was a time of great need for me. Like, I really had no choice. So I had to go and I had to go and see my command master chief and had to tell him. I had to be vulnerable with him and tell him what was happening in my personal life with my family, right? With my wife. And, had to express to him what we were going through, what we were feeling, and what I thought I needed in order to, push through or get through this situation, keep my family intact, and do my job as a husband. And, that was a specific example for me. But what I want you to understand is, leading up to that time where I had to approach my team member or my leadership and my team members and tell them what I was struggling with, really open up to them. I had exhausted all of my own efforts to fix the problem up to that point. Like, I had thought through every scenario. I had done everything that I could do, right, to fix this problem and to find a way to navigate this problem without having to go and share my personal business with my teammates. All right. So, it was a time, again, it was a time of great need. I had exhausted my own personal efforts. It wasn't going to work unless I went and opened up, became a little vulnerable, explained the situation. So that is front and center in my mind of a time that I had to be. Can you think of a time you had to be?
I think of the word in general. I think we will misuse that word. Like for me, when I hear vulnerable, I think like the turtle that's crossing the road is pretty vulnerable. He's about to get ran over.
Yeah.
And really, it's a quality maybe of vulnerable that we like or that is helpful to us. And the quality is being honest and open. You know, it's not necessarily making yourself vulnerable. It's being honest and open. And in order to be vulnerable, like if you say I'm going to be vulnerable with you, first I have to care what you think about me, because if I don't care what you think about me, there's no vulnerability for me. You know, like if I tell you my deepest, darkest secret and I don't give a crap what you say or think about it, what vulnerability is there to me? Because
that's a good point.
It doesn't matter. So someone has to care. And I think the importance of saying that is that if you are going to be what we call vulnerable or open or honest,
I disagree with that. I don't think that vulnerability has anything to do with honesty. I mean, I can see how it can have something to do with openness.
Yeah.
Right? But being that openness can go a step too far.
Yeah.
That's why we're having this conversation, right?
Yeah.
All right, continue. I'm sorry. I just had to put in my 2 cents.
I think the honesty part would come into being maybe not honest in a matter of, hey, this is what I did. You know, you ask me a question, then you can be honest and say, hey, I'm not going to tell you that. Or I guess that's the openness, and say, hey, I am going to tell you that, and I'm going to open up to you and kind of give you access to where what you say to me could potentially harm me or not harm me. I guess that's the vulnerable part of it. But if you, I lost my train of thought there.
Oh, well, I like what you said about how.
Oh, listen.
Sorry.
This is it. Someone has, like, I have to care what you think about me. So if you're going to be vulnerable or open with somebody, then it has to be with somebody that you actually care what they think about you. Like, I'm going to be open with you. I'm going to be open with my wife. There's certain things I'll be open with my kids about. So you're going to be open about different things to different people. And there's only a few people you're going to be open with everything about, you know. So I think that's a big key to it. I mean, regardless what you think about somebody, if you just met somebody 2 days ago and you're just think, oh man, this person is, you know, I'm just going to tell them everything. You don't know that person. No matter how much you think you know them, you've only known them 2 days.
Yeah.
You don't know how they're going to act in different situations, if they're going to go tell people or whatever. So
yeah, no, you're exactly right, man. And I like what you said about how that resonates with me, about how you said the person that you're sharing with, being vulnerable with, it has to be someone that you know and that you know that you care about, right? And you care about their opinion of you also. And I think that was going back to my examples when I had to be vulnerable with my teammates and let them know what was going on at home. And it was an embarrassing thing. And I think that's why I felt that sense of vulnerability, because I did care what they were going to think about me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. I did care what they were going to think about my wife and all of that. So I guess that's why I felt that sense of vulnerability in that moment, in that circumstance right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that the honesty part helps the openness, because you go to them and you say, hey, look, guys, I'm going to be open with you. I'm going to share with you what's going on. And really, in the end, this is just me being honest. This is just what's going on. If you're going to be upset with me about it or think differently about me because of that, then, you know, I don't need you to be listening or giving me advice anyways. So it's just real, you know, like things just are what they are. And when you share that with somebody, it kind of takes the pressure off of you, and to me, almost takes the vulnerability aspect away from it. Yeah,
no, I like that, man. And guys, I want y'all to understand, this is just my experience with this vulnerability topic. Obviously, I'm sure people feel different ways about it. You know what I mean? But I think even like even with people like Blake that I'm super, super close to, right? We talk about that openness, you know, I'm not gonna approach Blake and unload my baggage on him just for the sake of being vulnerable and being open. There has to be a purpose behind it.
Right.
It has to be something for me that is like, it's a problem. There's a need. I've exhausted my own personal efforts to do this, and I literally have to seek some sort of counsel or just, I guess at times even have to get it off my chest. So even that openness for me personally with those people that are close to me, super close to me, it's still something that I hold it in like I'm not going to abuse that.
Well, it's
you know
no
what I mean?
different than if I needed to pay my mortgage this month and I couldn't afford it. Is the first thing you're going to do go ask your buddy, "Hey man, can I get some money to pay my mortgage?" Or are you going to go out and try to find a job and try to get something and make the money on your own? And it's the same thing with sharing something that you're struggling with. Like, yeah, if you identify a problem in your life, then use the tools that you have, that you know how to fix it. And if it doesn't work, then at that point you go to somebody who you care, who you think, who to your inner circle that we've already talked about, and say, "Hey, this is what I've tried, and things just aren't working out.
Yep.
What do you think I can do?" But by me, if I'm just having a struggle and I say, "Hey, man, I'm going through this," that in itself does nothing for the problem that I'm going through.
And yeah, you're exactly right. And which will bring up to one of my points right here. I've got a few points. The first one I wanted to make, for me, times of great need, I've exhausted my own efforts. There's two places I would be vulnerable. You talked about the points you just hit leads me into one of my other points is, if you do what Blake just said, if you're just going to somebody and unloading on them because you think it's virtuous and you think that it's cool, that society is just telling you to just be open with everybody and that's the way to be. I think a lot of people get sucked into that mindset and they do that, and really they're doing that selfishly because all it's doing is making them feel comfortable with whatever problem they're facing, whatever weakness they're struggling against, what they think, "Oh, well, I'm just going to go unload this on somebody because if I get it off my chest, I'm going to be able to feel more comfortable about the reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to feel more comfortable that this is the way that I am."
Yeah.
Right? And if it's not right, being vulnerable and being open to people is not meant to let you feel more comfortable about whatever it is you're struggling with. All right? It's made it's made to expose it. It's made to bring it into the light, which in turn should make you super uncomfortable about what you're struggling against, right? So, when you choose to bring these problems out to people, you choose to dump it out, right? And be vulnerable. Look, understand that probably those people that you're vulnerable with are going to expect some change in you. All right? So they're not going to expect you to they shouldn't just pat you on the back and say, "It's okay, buddy."
Unless that's what you're wanting and you're going to go share it with people that you know are going to tell you that.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing is seek out people that are going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Oh, that's it right there, brother. Because that's the thing, man. I mean, I've come to Blake multiple times for things that are going on in my relationship, things that are going on in my own head, in business, whatever it is, right? And it'd be so much easier for him, again, to pat me on the back and say, "It's all right, buddy. Marriage is hard. It's all right, man. Business is hard. You don't have to take on that load." No, when I tell him that, he'll give me some feedback, and then he fully expects me to implement and make changes in that situation in order to fix myself. All right, that's what this is leading to. If you want to be vulnerable and open, it's leading to fixing the problem. That's why I said in the beginning of this, it is a tool. It is not some sort of thing to make you to make you comfortable. All right? It's a tool that should lead to change. All right? Accountability, things like that. All right.
And I even hate even saying any of those words because they're all buzzwords nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Accountability, vulnerability, all that stuff. I mean,
I don't like the word either. I don't like the word either.
Yeah, but when you think about it, you have to really think about what the word means. Like, it's just that hey, I'm going to share with you my problem, and you're going to expect changes out of me, and you're going to check in and say, hey, why ain't you freaking changing this crap that we've talked about a month ago, and you're still doing the same thing?
Yeah.
That's what accountability is. It's not, hey, man, how you doing today? Is there anything I can pray for? I mean, that's good. That's good to check in with people like that, but it's so easy to say, hey, I'm doing good, man. Just keep praying for me. Things are hard.
Yeah.
That exchange of dialogue there does the person that's struggling no good.
So, in other words, accountability can come with some harshness.
Yeah.
Accountability can come with calling your brother or your sister out.
Yeah.
Right? I agree with you 100%, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
If you're going to ask me, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think I could improve? Or what do you think? I'm going to be real with you, and it's going to be whether you want to hear it or not. It's going to be what I think.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you my opinion just out of the blue, but if you ask me for my opinion, I'm just going to tell it to you.
Yeah.
Let
me make one thing clear here for you guys. In case y'all didn't know, I'm a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL, wizard hermit, ultra runner, business owner. I am not a therapist, all right? Let me make that clear. I'm not a therapist. I go and see a counselor or a therapist or whatever you call them, usually about once a week with my wife. And we are vulnerable with this person, but we are vulnerable with this person for a purpose. It's because we expect change to come from it.
Yep.
So when we share, immediately after that, we are searching for a solution. All right? And we expect change to come from it.
Yep.
So I'm not anti-therapy. I'm not anti-going to see a Christian counselor. All right? I will only see a Christian counselor. I'm sorry. That's just the way I am.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a whole nother rabbit we could chase, but we're not going to today. So I'm not saying, all right, I'm saying when you do go and spend that time with a professional, it should be in order to lead you to a solution.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the concept of just getting stuff out and you think that's going to make you feel better.
That's the whole problem. That's the whole thing we're sitting here talking about. That people treat it like it's a taboo to go. They're not taboo, but it's like it's
virtuous.
Got some, yeah,
it's virtuous.
Yeah,
yeah.
To go share it, and then hey, I'm good to go now. I've shared that with Chad. Let me just roll on.
Yeah. Let's talk about a couple other things before we wrap this up. Let's talk about being open or vulnerable. I think something you should think about is, Blake hit on it a little bit earlier. You should think about the company you're in. Is it the proper group? Are you in the proper company to share what you're about to share? All right? But before you decide to open up and be vulnerable, I want you to look around you and make sure you're in the right company. All right? Because that's important.
Yeah.
And also, is it in the context of what that company is speaking on?
Right.
All right. So this openness needs to be with the proper company, in the proper place, with the proper context. Okay? I share stories out on the basic course that are hard for me to tell, man. Right? But I share them in places during the mission where they have context.
Yep.
With what the team is facing, what the team is going through, right? If I shared those vulnerable stories, if I shared them 2 hours into the mission, it would be totally out of context.
Right.
And people look at me like I'm why are you telling us this, man? Right? So it has to be the proper company, the proper place, the proper time, in the proper context with what's going on.
Yeah, and you talk about vulnerability and change and kind of their relationship, and that's a good point you made, is that you being vulnerable sometimes is change for you, but also you being vulnerable, sharing those stories is sometimes out of expected change from who you're sharing it with.
I've experienced it on both ends.
Yeah.
It does. It can take two. It can be used in two different ways. Those two different ways.
But it's change either way. That should be the result. Vulnerability equals change should be the equation, whether it's for you or the person you're sharing it with.
Yeah. That's a really good statement there. Vulnerability should lead to change.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't even know what to say beyond that, son. I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about on this topic. This is a quick episode for you guys. So just to recap right here, vulnerability, openness, it's not virtuous. It's a tool that leads to change, right? You should practice this in times of great need for yourself, or like Blake said in the other context, if you can be vulnerable and share a story when your team is in great need, that's going to tie to a principle that's going to lead to change for your team. All right, so it's in a time of great need, and you have also exhausted your own efforts, or you've allowed your team to exhaust their own efforts in order to fix whatever problem they're needing to share with you, or vice versa. In the proper company, at the proper time, in the context of the conversation that's going on within the group. It's not meant to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. It's not meant to make you feel like, let me pat you on the back, buddy. It's okay. You're going to feel better now that you got that off your chest. Not for me. That don't work for me. No. And it should lead to change. That wraps it up for me. Again, I'm not a freaking therapist. I'm sure that most therapists would argue with what I'm saying right now. I guarantee you they would.
Oh, yeah.
They would tell me I'm a fool. Hey, I'm just telling you what's worked for me, man. That's all I can do. That's how it's worked. That's how this thing has worked in my life.
Yeah. No, there ain't much else. If someone wants to argue with it, then so be it. But it's the fact that they're going to argue that, it is good to get that off your chest and to feel warm and fuzzy. And maybe it is in the beginning, but maybe after that, the change needs to start.
It ain't never done me no good.
No, none of it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, same here, man. All right, guys, so that's what we wanted to say on that. Again, that's coming from our perspectives. I'm not saying there are plenty of times where the context is right, the group is right, and it needs to happen. There's nothing wrong with it if it hits these wickets, right? Yeah. It's a wonderful thing, and it's a great tool if it hits these wickets.
Yeah, it's a tool just like anything else.
Wicket. Sweet. Go get you some daggone salty britches, man. Go get you some salty britches. I'm tired of y'all chafing up all the time. Y'all are chafing all the time. You're getting blisters on your feet. You're chafing in between your legs. You're walking around just all uncomfortable. Go get some salty britches.
I use that salty britches when my lips get chapped.
Yeah, that's true. Blake, we were working out today, and Blake has a chapped lips and stuff, and I'm like, dude, what the world happened to you? He said, it was all that wind. He was being vulnerable with me. He said, it was just that wind was getting me.
Man, you got some skin on your nose. Yeah, it's been there about 29 years, I guess.
So Salty Britches does have some wintertime ointment that's made for chafed lips and windburn and stuff like that. It works great. We love Amy. We love Salty Britches. Go check them out on Instagram at Get Salty Britches. Their website is getsaltybritches.com. I'll attach a pro code for you guys in the show notes of this episode. It works. It's great stuff. We're on a new schedule now in 3 of 7 project. We turkey hunt in the morning. we work out at lunch, and then we work in the office, and we work on whatever else. We're cleaning gear today till dark. That's what we do. And I might run again this evening, so
I ain't running.
I might not be here till dark. But anyways, it's turkey season, son.
I might try to go roost a bird while you're running.
We know where they're going to be roosted at.
Yeah, them birds done gobbling after they fly down.
Oh, we know where they're going to be roosted at. All right, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Hope you didn't get offended. But it's all good, man. I'm just on here being vulnerable. Love you guys. Enough said.